If you'd like to approach me afterwards, I'd be glad to get you in touch with either of them. So thank you very much, both gentlemen.
Thank you.
A couple of things about that. One of the reasons, that I think this whole issue gets such a bad rap is because of California. And what people don't realize is there's over 90 million people that have medical access when they're seriously ill right now, and most of them are not in California. There's 16 states plus Washington, D.C. that have this. You only hear about Canada. You don't hear about the 15 other cases where where this isn't an issue. And so I think having somebody who's experienced in this and has seen all the problems that have happened in California be able to put our proposal in context, I think is really important. I think another thing is we don't, because California is takes up such of that media spotlight. We don't hear about things like, for example, Michigan voters approved a similar measure to this by over 20 points in 2009. And you don't open up the paper and hear about all the crazy dispensaries, and people from Toledo aren't running running medical cannabis cross borders or anything like that. In much of the country, when a good system is in place, this becomes really a non-issue and gets back to the core issue of this, which is medical rights for safe access for sick patients. So I'd like to turn the mic back over to Teresa.
Thank you.
Well, as Brett stated, that over 90 million Americans now can have safe access to medical marijuana. When Ohio passes this, we're going to add 11.4 million people. So we're going to make it over 100 million people who will have access to medical marijuana, which we believe is very important. Again, going back to knowing that Ohio, the latest poll in 2009 said 73% of Ohioans want medical marijuana, which is 2 out of 3 people. There was also a poll recently, I think it was the CBS poll, that stated 66% of Republicans believe that sick, dying, and disabled patients should have access to medical marijuana. So it looks like the values are across the board. Medical marijuana is agreed upon for in racial groups, educational groups, income groups, and also I think a lot of religious groups, to be honest with you. So it's all across the board. And I believe that if given the right opportunity of being on the poll or being on the ballot in November, I do believe that Ohio will pass this. I'd like to introduce you to our General Counsel, Mark Ramick. Mark can talk a little bit more about our language. Thank you.
I just want to talk about what exactly makes our language different from how any of the other medical marijuana states have passed legislation. One of the big things you'll find straight across the board for the most part in the 16 states that do have medical marijuana legislation is it's approached from a decriminalization standpoint. They decriminalize it for an eligible set of patients, and then those patients have access. But in no other person's language is there a definitive statement of an eligible patient's rights to use medical marijuana to alleviate their suffering. That's one of the main things that our amendment would do. It would provide 8 rights for eligible patients, those who have serious chronic illnesses, to use medical marijuana. They'll have the right to use it, the right to grow it. The right for the industry to exist is written into the amendment. There's rights to confidentiality and privacy. And the Ohio Attorney General will have to uphold and defend these rights, which we feel is very important. Also, our language establishes a commission, and we did this for a very particular purpose. In every other state, their language is very long. It's very wordy. It sets a lot of specific quantities, what they can't do, who can sell, who can't sell. There's a lot of specificity, and what this caused was a lot of unforeseen problems, especially out in California, like Steve had mentioned. And one of the biggest things that we wanted to avoid was having the mess that California had. We wanted to have a piece of, we wanted to have a law that put the patients first and protected their rights and their rights to have access to medical marijuana to alleviate their suffering. So to prevent unforeseen consequences from occurring, we did not put a lot in stone in terms of quantity or other such specificity. Instead, we allowed the commission to have that regulatory ability to set limits and to change limits as need be. A lot of the specificity will be controlled by the commission. And what this ensures is a point of flexibility. It also ensures that a group of professionals will be overseeing stringent regulations to make sure that the only people who do get access to this are the people who actually need it. This is not a legalization issue. This is a medical marijuana issue. And we believe that there is a war on drugs going on right now, and our patients are caught in the crossfire. And the first thing that we need to do is get them off the battlefield. And so we're presenting this law because we need to make sure that our patients are kept first. And we need to make sure that our patients have access to this. People like Len, many others. We've been all over the state talking to people, and people like Len, it seems to be the norm. They come up to us and they say, hey, I've had such disease, I've been on such and such painkillers, I did this pain regimen, nothing worked or kind of only worked, and then I tried medical marijuana and it helped. And we've had people time and time again, many people to the point of tears, saying, it helps me, it helps me. So we set up a law that puts those patients first and would allow them to gain access to this so that they don't have criminal consequences. At this point, our main goal is to get the signatures that we need to get on the ballot for November. We need those signatures by July 4th. And the longer we wait, the more suffering Ohioans are going to have to do. And the sad truth is, some of the people who need this the most might not even be around by November to see this pass. And that, I think, stresses the urgency of this matter. There's 11.5 million people here in Ohio, and a lot of them could benefit from this law. And right now we are past the Attorney General, and we are past the ballot board, and we have an overwhelming amount of support from our volunteer base. And we know that we can get this done if we can get the support of the people. Political campaigns are expensive anymore. It's a reality. So for us, we're asking the people of Ohio to lend us their support so that we can get this done and that we can get the sick, dying, and disabled the medicine that they need.